The Mapmaker who drew impossible places. English Story Level 6. In a bustling port city filled with sailors, merchants, and explorers, 16-year-old Finn worked in a tiny map shop that smelled of ink, paper, and sea salt. He loved maps more than anything, how lines, curves, and symbols could shape whole worlds. But Finn had a secret. Sometimes, when he drew a place he'd never visited, the map filled itself in with impossible details: forests of floating trees, oceans with spiral currents, islands shaped like living creatures. He didn't understand how or why it happened. One evening, after the shop closed, Finn found a blank parchment on the counter with a message written in delicate gold script. Draw what you feel, not what you see. Confused but curious, he dipped his quill and began sketching. His hand moved on its own, guided by instinct rather than memory. As he drew, the parchment glowed, and a soft wind stirred inside the shop. When he finished, the map showed a swirling archipelago surrounded by starlight instead of water. Suddenly, the map rose into the air, expanding into a shimmering portal. Before Finn could react, it pulled him inside. He landed on a floating island covered with flowers shaped like tiny lanterns. Beneath him, the archipelago drifted like a constellation brought to life. This was the Cartographica, the realm where maps were born before they became part of the mortal world. A tall woman wearing a cloak made of shifting maps approached. She introduced herself as Meridian, keeper of the Cartographica. She told Finn he was a world drawer, one of the rare individuals whose imagination could open gateways to unmapped realms. But Cartographica was in danger. A force called the Unmaking was erasing islands, turning their vibrant landscapes into blank parchment. Only a world drawer could redraw and restore the fading places. Finn followed Meridian through floating bridges and trails made of glowing ink. They passed islands representing emotions, memories, and forgotten dreams. But many islands flickered, their edges dissolving under the Unmaking's influence. Finn felt a responsibility he wasn't sure he was ready for, but he also felt excitement, the kind he only experienced when drawing. They reached the source tablet, a massive stone slab carved with living lines. Meridian explained that Finn needed to reimagine the lost islands and draw them anew. But the Unmaking appeared, an enormous void-like entity shaped like a crumpled map, its voice crackling like tearing paper. It tried to snuff out Finn's creativity by showing him scenes of failure, mockery, and doubt. Finn hesitated, his hands trembling, but then he remembered why he loved maps, not for perfection, but for possibility. He began drawing directly onto the air, each stroke forming glowing bridges, spiraling forests, and islands rising from starlit seas. The Unmaking recoiled as life returned to the archipelago. Finn's creations reshaped the realm with bold colors and daring designs. With a final sweeping motion, he redrew the central island, a place representing imagination itself. Light burst from the drawing, striking the Unmaking and breaking it apart into harmless sparks of blank parchment that drifted away on the wind. Cartographica stabilized, brighter and thicker with living maps. Meridian placed a pendant shaped like a compass rose around Finn's neck. It would allow him to visit Cartographica whenever the worlds needed new paths. When Finn stepped back through the portal, he found himself in the map shop again, the parchment before him still glowing faintly. From that day on, customers noticed something special about Finn's maps. They felt alive, inspiring explorers to seek new horizons. And though no one else knew the truth, Finn understood. The world was much bigger than anyone imagined, because imagination itself was a world worth mapping.